Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. Well, hello everybody and welcome to the channel. I am here to help you understand this week ahead through the tool of astrology. It's so lovely to have you with me. Thank you to everybody who purchases from Guiding Star Astrology and those who subscribe, like and share to these videos. I love you all very much and I do pray for all my subscribers and my Patreon family every day. I give thanks for you all. Thank you for being here. Now, this week we're looking at the energies that are playing out in the sky from the 3rd to the 10th of September. Keep in mind as I do this reading that it is a personal reading for the passing energies. So we're not looking at the big collective influence on the planet and in countries and so on. That's called mundane astrology. Rather, this is for individuals and how things might be affecting you individually. But it is not a personal reading for you. To do a personal reading, I need to look at your chart and see how these current energetic influences are interacting with your chart personally. That's what astrologers do, and when you purchase a reading from an astrologer, that's what they provide you. This instead is a general read for each zodiac sign. For personal astrology for you, not mundane astrology, and a general read for each zodiac sign. So I hope that makes sense to people. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe this video to go into the draw to win your own solar return analysis for your year ahead. That is a personal reading for you where there is a comparison of your chart and how these planetary energies will be affecting you in the year ahead. So you don't want to miss out on that one. It's a wonderful written report that you could win simply by liking, sharing and subscribing. And once again, congratulations to Mallow Candle for winning last month's solar return reading. So this week's energy focus, well, it's actually rather a quiet week astrologically, which I must admit I'm very, very grateful for because August was one hell of a ride, let's face it. So it's very nice to be sort of perhaps catching our breath a little bit with the energies that are unfolding this week. So what are they? Let's take a look. We are seeing, firstly, on the 5th of September, we're seeing this little planet here, which is Venus, moving into the sign of Virgo. And this is going to be our focus for the all signs breakdown that we will get to shortly. Now, what happens when Venus goes into Virgo? Well, she's not overly well debilitated. She's debilitated in the sign of Virgo. And the reason for that is Venus's exaltation sign is Pisces, exactly opposite Virgo. So when a planet is generally opposite its sign of exaltation, it will be in debilitation in the opposite sign. So in this case, Virgo. So exalted in Pisces, debilitated in Virgo for Venus. But we can still get some blessing out of this energy. And I'm going to talk about that for the all signs breakdown, which is going to be very much focused on the placement of Venus or the transit of Venus through Virgo by comparison to where your moon is. This is a Vedic technique that we're going to analyze the chart with this week. But before we get to that, Venus in Virgo, well, it's a time for becoming more dedicated to our relationships, particularly to relationships that are built on purity, relationships that are built on truth and the slow burn, So the actual relationships with substance, with meaning, relationships that have a purpose. Now, in shamanic astrology, relationships that are, so if you are Virgo rising or Pisces rising, your relationship axis will run from Virgo to Pisces. And therefore your relationship needs will be very much focused on being able to do service together, to have some sort of meaning and purpose that you come together to achieve. So that might look like, putting on an art exhibition together or renovating houses together or working in a soup kitchen together. Whatever it is, there's got to be some sort of meaning and purpose for you coming together in a relationship that gives it substance and quality. And in shamanic astrology, they refer to that as your sacred work. So when Venus is in either the sign of Pisces or Virgo, it will give emphasis, because Venus is the planet of relationships, to having some sort of meaningful connection with another person that is sacred work, so to speak, whether that's making the world a more beautiful place by creating a garden together, or whether it's actually serving the world by making coffees that are in a coffee van or something. There is meaning and purpose to you coming together. So that's what I mean by when I say we're more devoted. Virgo is a sign of devotion, as is Pisces, I might add as well. We become dedicated, rather. Pisces is devotion. Virgo is dedication. So slight differentiation of wording there. My mistake, I'm sorry. So we become more dedicated in Virgo to relationships, particularly to relationships that, as I said, have some sort of sacred work. There's a pure reason for connecting. You're connecting for some higher reason, and there's this beautiful slow burn energy, not just a flash in the pan, overnight kind of thing. It's dedication to relationships with meaning, with purpose, and with depth, that sort of deep, slow burn. I hope that makes sense. So our sensitivities in love become activated when Venus is in Virgo, because Virgo is a sensitive sign. Our sensitivities in love are activated, and for some people this transit might highlight our insecurities when it comes to romantic interactions, because Virgo is a sensitive sign, and in some ways it is, because of its perfectionist tendency, it can be a bit of an insecure sign, you know, and we're kind of in a state of, well, you know, am I good enough? Am I beautiful enough? Am I smart enough? Am I funny enough? Am I whatever? And we can sort of be very self-critical about our relational abilities or our attractiveness in relationships. We become very self-critical of that when Venus is in Virgo. And hence our sensitivities in relationship are activated, and our insecurities are sort of brought to the fore. You know, I don't think I'm quite funny enough, or my bottom's too big, or my, you know, my teeth are all funny and therefore no one would like me. You know, those sorts of insecurities can kind of bubble up now. Be forewarned and forearmed about that. Now, anybody on the dating scene while Venus is moving through Virgo might now choose to play it safe. After party season in Leo, Venus on the dating scene in Leo, now we move into sort of this playing it safe territory of Virgo, taking our time with relationships and forming new relationships, being more observational, and even maybe a little bit more shy while Venus moves through Virgo. Perhaps this might be a response to a previous rejection or to some criticism. I mean, let's face it, if you get on those terrible dating apps that are out there, you are exposing yourself to a very high level of rejection and critique from other people. And it's very wounding and very hurtful in those areas. And so you as well, all of us on the dating scene might be more highly sensitized to that critiquing or that rejection that comes when you're out on the dating apps and what have you over the next month or so while Venus moves through Virgo. Now, Venus is not all about just relationship stuff, you know, sensitivities in relationships, sensitivities if you're dating. It's also about money and spending and finance. So this is a time in Virgo for being thrifty with our money, you know, spending with more care and you know, practical items instead of luxury items, which this is another reason, or a reason why Venus is not so flourishing in the sign of Virgo, because Venus wants luxury and comfort and relaxation and beauty. And Virgo is a sign that's quite hardworking, and it's you know, it's all about practicality and usefulness, not luxury, not indulgence. So they're at odds in that regard. But if you are spending money in the month ahead, it's more likely to be focused on practical items, useful things, you know, getting the job done kind of spending, rather than, you know, an indulgence or a luxury. We're going to talk more about Venus in Virgo when we break down all signs, and I will give an introduction to how we're going to be assessing this, as it's quite different to the usual readings that I will give. And so you'll want to listen to that to understand how we're going to be assessing Venus through Virgo and how Venus's transit through Virgo is going to affect you personally. So next on the agenda this week, and there's only 2 things coming up, next on the agenda is the full moon in Pisces down here at 17 degrees. So that is coming up on the 10th of September. So this is an intuitive full moon, a spiritual full moon, a head in the clouds energy. You know, you can feel like you're walking on air a lot of the time, and the world can seem more shiny and sparkly when the moon is full in Pisces. It's about letting your fantasies run wild, indulging in them, you know, and when we do, it's the universe's way of speaking to us through our fantasies, of guiding us. What does our heart want? What does our heart visualize? What does our heart desire? What is beautiful to us? That is the universe speaking to us about what is really at our core, what we really want deep down. So knowing and interacting with our fantasies is actually an important thing to do. But above all, pay attention to your dreams and your daydreams under this beautiful full moon. They're messages from the divine, especially for you now. Now, to find out more about how this full moon is going to affect you at a personal level, do visit the Guiding Star Patreon family. It's in the link is in the description below. And look, you can sign up for a month and get access to a growing back catalogue of really fabulous astrological information, plus get the monthly forecast for the new moon and the full moon, especially for your sign. So there's plenty there. Or if you prefer, you can just sign up for the full moon alone. And just don't get any of the other videos or anything, and that's obviously at a cheaper rate, and then you can get the lowdown for the full moon in Pisces. So it's up to you. You can sign up for a month, or you can sign up for a year, or however long, but we'd love to see you there to check out the Guiding Star family and all that it offers you. Now, let's move right along. We're going to be looking at the transits from the moon. Okay, and this is going to reveal how we're going to feel about things while Venus is moving through Virgo. And this is going to last pretty much the 5th of September until the 30th of September, or 29th of September to be exact. So it is going to be quite an important month for us, because that is what Venus is governing for the whole of September. As I said, Venus is going to show us how we're going to feel about things that are Virgonian in our chart. And so remember the principle: as within, how you feel within, so without. How you feel about life and love and money, Venus things, is going to be what is manifesting in the external world, in the external life that you're living. Now, as I said, I'm using only moon signs this week. This is a Vedic astrology technique known as Gokara from the moon. We are not using rising signs. We are not using sun signs. So if you don't know your moon sign, then consider going to an app like astro.com and just type in your details, and it will bring up a chart that will show you where your moon is located. It's really actually very important to know your moon sign. In Vedic astrology, they consider the moon sign to be much more important than the sun sign. So knowing your moon sign is actually very, very important if you want to understand what's coming up for you. If you would like to, I have a short course in how to read your own astrology chart, and it can help you if you're having trouble. It's only $35 Australian. From memory, I think that might be like $20 perhaps in euros, or $20 American, something like that. It could vary depending on the exchange rate, but yes, $35 Australian, and it will guide you through the best free software to use online, how to read your chart, what to look for, what are the particular significations, and what houses are and what signs are. It's going to help you understand the basic foundation of astrology. So that's at my Guiding Star Astrology website in the courses section. Simply pop over there and learn how to read your chart. So if you would like to learn more about the effects of the transit from the moon, known as Gokara from the moon, well, they're quite different to regular transits, then all you need to do is sign up to the Royal Stars Academy. The link's in the description below. It's going to be part of next year's syllabus where we look at Gokara from the moon. You don't have to have completed the first level to be able to do the second level. It's only if you're planning on attaining certification that you need to do the first and second level. If you just want the information and the knowledge, then sign up to receive notification that that course is being released. For those who are really keen, it's going to be released at the end of the year, maybe potentially early 2023, in January 2023. So I'm very excited about getting that one out to everybody, because it's really wonderful in-depth information about astrology, and will go towards your certification if you want to be a certified astrologer with the Royal Stars Academy. So check out the description in the link below. Okay, Gokara from the moon. I'm not going to go into what that is, because that's something that I discuss in the Royal Stars Academy, but that's what we're looking at. You need to know your moon sign, and away we go. So we're looking at if your moon sign is in Virgo. That's where we're going to start. If your moon sign is in Virgo, then Venus is transiting in the house of your moon. Now, I'm going to read to you the Sanskrit description of what that means when Venus is in the house of the moon. It confers on the native all kinds of erotic requests, It confers on the native all kinds of erotic requisites, fragrant and attractive perfumes, flowers and garments, couches, houses, seats and tasty dishes. Consequently, the native will act the part of a bee on the lotus of the face of an intoxicated or proud young beloved. Gotta love those sutras. They're fascinating, aren't they? But from the 5th to the 30th of September, you're going to be in a place of benevolence, because Venus, even though it's debilitated in Virgo, it's in the house of your moon, Virgo people. So what does this mean? Well, there's going to be financial blessing on your life. So that's something to be celebrated for the next month. This is the house of survival. It's the main reason for our incarnation, is the first house, and therefore it's going to influence you very personally. So to have Venus transiting the house of your moon in Virgo is lovely. It's going to affect you personally. You'll be initiating new things that will go well and succeed, that have to do with Venus. Maybe cleaning out your wardrobe and having a whole fresh start with clothes, or changing your image in some way will be benefited. If you want to get a haircut, now's the time, and you'll love it, and maybe a whole new style or a whole new color or something, and it will just be something that you will really love for a long time. You will really align with your own sense of identification with beauty now, and you'll be very feeling very beautiful, expressing your aura in a way that's very beautiful, very refined, very sophisticated and lovely. So that's really nice. But of course, as we know, Venus rules money, and it rules relationships. And as this sutra describes, you're going to actually have more success with love. Now, if you're in a relationship, that means that you are going to enjoy, like I said, the erotic connection with your partner. You're going to enjoy, just being with your partner. There's this great love for the partner, pride in the partner, and you will be proud of them. It'll be like you're just in that intoxicated state about your partner for the next month or so, with Venus traveling in the house of the moon. As the sutra describes, you will get lots of nice things. You will be enjoying flowers and things that smell, perfumes. Like I said, getting a whole new wardrobe, or at least getting a nice, wonderful new dress or suit or something that makes you feel really good about yourself. Decor in the home is also on the cards for you guys as well. Maybe fixing things up or renovating some sort of, not so much renovating actually, but it's more like redecorating a room. So getting a new couch, or maybe it could look like you're getting some new cushions and new curtains or something that just boost your home and give it a fresh vibe. So food is also very much connected to Venus. So you will be able to enjoy tasty food, refined food, luxurious food, even in the sign of Virgo, because the moon is what gives us a sense of fulfillment. And when Venus is in the house of the moon, then we feel fulfilled by Venusian things, having a fine dinner. That's obviously one thing, or doesn't necessarily mean celebrations, but eating good quality food, not just getting crappy takeaway or something like that, but having a fine meal that is delightful to the taste buds, that could be with other people that you go out and share that, or it could be that, you actually get, Uber Eats from a local high quality restaurant or something like that to treat yourself. So I'm seeing lots of good indulgent pleasures coming your way, Virgo people, Virgo moon people, because Venus is going to be in your sign, even though Venus is ordinarily debilitated in the sign of Virgo. If your moon is there, it's big thumbs up. So that's what I'm seeing for Virgo moon people. Now, moving along, for our Leo people, we're going to go backwards through the horoscope here. Venus is going to be traveling through the second house from your moon. For if you have the moon in Leo, here's Leo, and imagine that your moon is there. If that's what you've got, then this is the reading for you. We're looking at Venus's transit through the second house in whole sign astrology from your moon, from the 5th of September to the 30th of September. What is this purported to bring in the ancient Vedic Gokara system? Well, I'm going to read to you the sutra for this placement, or this transit rather. It bestows children, wealth, corn, royal favor, family prosperity, flowers and gems for ornaments. Consequently, the native, though grown old with grey hair, can enjoy sexual pleasures and happiness for the family members. So it's obviously a benevolent influence to have Venus transiting in the second house from the moon. And the second house represents anything that we need to live, like resources, like food, shelter, clothing, material stuff that supports our body's journey. It's also anything valuable. So Venus in a benevolent position in the second house, where she's quite comfortable in the second house, she has associations with the second house, means that you might be focused on acquiring more valuable goods. You might be upgrading your pantry to have more stock in it, because the second house is about keeping things and storing things. So you might be sort of getting more beautiful, those beautiful jars with peaches and apricots and things like that, all preserved in your pantry, or, just acquiring more food to store in your pantry might be a big focus for you. This is the house of self-sufficiency, so you might be very invested in doing that over the next month, creating more self-sufficiency and storage of things for the future in that regard. Material things that can be, even like things for your garden, Venus is the natural world, and Venus in your second house could be very focused on, second house from the moon I should add, could be very focused on things for the, like plants and vegetables that you want to put in your garden and that sort of thing that aid in being self-sufficient, of course. Now, as we described in the sutra, flowers and gems for ornaments can be something that comes your way. So look, you might be getting a new vase or something like that that you'll put some flowers from your garden in, or somebody brings you flowers. That could be the kind of energy that this month bestows on you. As we said, wealth. So it is a season of your year when you might find that the money's coming in easier. There's not as much stress with finances. And there even can be, like, it talks about royal favor in the sutras. But, if you're in Australia, we have no royal governance. If you're in America, there's no royal governance. Unless you're super into... in Australia, we're a Commonwealth country, so we do have the Queen involved in our country, but let's just put that topic aside. We are really a sovereign country, even if legally we're not quite there yet. So we actually might get favour, like royal favour, from other mechanisms, such as, just what does royal favour mean? Think about it. Like it's when we are advantaged through somebody that we know or somebody who's benevolent to us. So that's what this is talking about. You might be Leo moon people, you might get an approval from a planning department to go ahead and build that house you want to build, or you might get favor from a high court judge or somebody where they've got a position of influence and power, and they go a lot, like they give you the support you need or the blessing that you need to have a better life. So that's what we're talking about here. That can be on the cards for you this month too. So if you're waiting for a court decision or a planning permit or something else of that nature, then you might find this is your month where it all goes your way and it's big thumbs up. We talked about family prosperity. In the Vedic system, the second house does have to do with family lineage. And so there could be some blessing coming to you from family for our Leo moon friends, and enjoyment just by being with your family, enjoying their company or enjoying a meal together. Second house has to do with food, as does Venus, especially fine, decadent, sweet foods as well. So you might be celebrating somebody's birthday or an engagement or something with a family member, enjoying some nice cake or something. That could be really lovely. Now, as you will remember from the sutra, this is a placement that says even though you are getting on in years, it talks about the grey hair, which don't we all just love, the grey hair, you can still enjoy having sex. So if you're older and watching this, maybe you're retired or something, you might find that your sex life is going exceptionally well for you this month. And I would say also if you're young as well, because Venus is young women. If you're a young woman watching this, then your sex life might also be looking rather special in the month ahead too. So I really love this. I think this is a beautiful benevolent position for Venus to be traveling, second house from the moon, and a chance to enjoy all the indulgent favors of Venus that have to do with the second house things, saving money, preserving things, having good food, clothing, shelter, and enjoying all those lovely things. Yay, very nice. So thank you, Leo. Now we're going to move on to our Cancer moon friends. So not Cancer rising or sun, but rather Cancer moon people. So this is known as Gokara from the moon, and we're looking at Venus's transit from the moon for the next month, from the 5th to the 30th of September. Venus will be in the sign of Virgo, and if you have a Cancer moon, then Venus will be transiting 1, 2, 3 houses from your moon. Let me read you the sutra that goes with this. The native gets authority, wealth, honor, position, prosperity, clothes, and the destruction of enemies. Respect and regard for one's opinions. So that's what the Vedic Sutra says about this position of Venus. And so what that means for our beautiful Cancer moon friends is that if you've been hunting for or looking for or trying out for a position of authority, you're likely to receive it this month, Now, whether that looks like a raise or whether it's just an authority in the family with the moon in the sign of Cancer, it might be some sort of family authority or family respect. You're going to get it this month because of Venus's transit in the 3rd house from the moon. It's also an indication of wealth, but I would suggest that it will be wealth purporting to 3rd house things. So if you have a small business or you're doing some sort of craftsmanship or using your skills in some way, maybe you're playing an instrument, in a band or something like that, or you might be doing some sewing for somebody, using your skills, you are likely to receive some sort of prosperity from that, money that comes from that. So maybe maybe you are a musical artist, or maybe you're a woodworker, or you do something with your hands. This is likely to be a month where you get well rewarded for your efforts. Not only that, you might get some honor as well. Maybe you're using your skills and talents to create works of art or sculpture or something like that. Well, this, as we said in the sutra, this is a position for honors. So you might enter your sculpture in some sort of, competition to have your sculpture put in the town square, and you win that position. And, there's honor conferred with winning that position, that competition. So there's some sort of honor that could come to you for your craftsmanship, for your skills, this month. As I said, prosperity, and of course prosperity pertains to the small business of the 3rd house, but it's also any buying, selling, trade. If you're a salesperson, you could go very, very well this month with Venus in the 3rd house from your moon. And so, salespeople can do well. Any circumstance where you're required to be brave, because the 3rd house has to do with our bravery. So if you're required to be brave about something, you can do very well from that. You can get honor from that. You can get prosperity from your brave actions, taking a step out of the ordinary and having a crack, being courageous can bring you some sort of reward with Venus traveling through the 3rd house from the moon. I also mentioned the destruction of enemies is likely when Venus transits the 3rd house from the moon. Now, Doesn't mean we're going to see all your enemies go to jail or something like that, or that we're going to see Dan Andrews sort of get shafted from his position, unfortunately. But what it might mean, our Cancer Moon friends, is that we're going to see ourselves be more victorious. So maybe there's some competition with somebody at work over a particular project, and they get a chance to work on a particular project, and you win. It's not that your enemy is destroyed, but you get the advantage. You get the upper hand. So in that sense, it could be very good. We don't necessarily want to go and see people being destroyed, do we? Even if they are our enemies, although sometimes it would be nice. So anyhow, Cancer Moon people, you are going to really be victorious and get the upper hand in some circumstance in your life in the coming month. And you will be respected and regarded for your opinion. I mean, that says it all, doesn't it? Your thoughts, your feelings, the way you act will be honored. And so that's a lovely, lovely blessing. Now, that will most likely pertain, I feel, to third house circumstances like respect from your neighbors, respect from your relatives, respect from your siblings, that might be occurring for you with Venus transiting in the third house from the moon. So that's what I'm seeing for our beautiful Cancer friends. Cancer Moon, remember. For Gemini Moon friends, and we're not looking at the sun or rising signs this week, we're only looking at moon signs. This is a Vedic astrology technique known as Gokara from the moon. And so Venus is transiting for Gemini people through Virgo, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4th house from a Gemini moon. So this means that there's going to be a focus on that sutra from the ancient Vedic scriptures, which I'll read to you now. It says, the native associates with friends and gets power and strength similar to that to the thunderbolt. Happy reconciliation with relatives and great prosperity. Isn't that a lovely sutra to have? So in that instance, here goes Venus through the 4th house from the moon, giving a benevolent influence to 4th house things. So it's time for connecting with friends and getting some, happy times with friends, Gemini moon people. The 4th house is the house of our life foundation, our emotional core strength. So you're going to feel very grounded. Even though Venus is usually debilitated in Virgo, if it is 4 houses from the moon, then it's still a place of blessing, and your core emotional foundation will be strong. You'll have the strength to deal with life's upheavals more so than usual because of this 4th house placement from the moon in Gemini. And generally speaking, that your emotions are going to feel happier when you connect with friends, and you have perhaps some good times with relatives and family as well. Family is a 4th house thing. Even there can be some prosperity that comes from friends and family, some blessing, and that could look something like it could be anything. This is housing, 4th house. It could be that a friend loans you their caravan to go for a little holiday. Well, what a blessing, what a wonderful gift that is. It's those sorts of things that we might be seeing happen for people with Gemini moons. Remember, in the sutra, it describes getting power and strength similar to the thunderbolt. So what is the thunderbolt? It's quick as lightning, literally, and it can absolutely turn everything around. Like if it strikes a tree or something, it can absolutely change the whole look of that tree in an instant. So what we're seeing is rapid change for Gemini moon people that is available. Not destruction, because remember this is a benevolent placement. Not destruction, but rapid, fast, quick as lightning change through some strong blessing. So it could be a change of location, a change of place of living, a change out of maybe some emotional rut that you might have been in, might happen for you. Power and strength to leave behind anxiety, depression, sadness, and move into the positive, because it is a benevolent placement to have Venus moving 4 houses from the moon. So for Gemini moon people, all of a sudden, transformation, power and strength that changes your emotional core balance for the better. Could change your place of residence for the better as well. Your domestic life might turn around quick as a wink for the better too at some point in September. Remember, this is from the 5th to the 30th of September, this reading. Your gardening, you might have a garden full of weeds. It's looking feral, and then lo and behold, you get a lovely soft rain, and you're just in there, and it looks better overnight. You know, you weed it, all the flowers are flourishing because you've had some rain, and away you go. Some sudden change, sudden power or strength given to your garden, a fourth house thing. This is also sort of to do with businesses that are run from the home, the fourth house, or inherited family businesses. And because this is a transit that in the sutra describes great prosperity, you might be having a lot of prosperity if you're involved in a family business or you're working from home. Otherwise, this is also the house of parenting. And if you're a parent, you might have a lot of success this month, Gemini moon friends. A lot of maybe, you know, prosperity, we would say, with parenting, like things are flourishing, things are going well, and you're feeling really good about the interaction that you've got in your family as a parent. It's also the sutra describes reconciliation with relatives. So if you've been at odds, Gemini moon friends, with somebody in your family, maybe your children or maybe your parents, then it is a wonderful energy for reaching out, getting back in touch, and trying to make things right again, and reconcile. So a lovely energy for our beautiful Gemini moon only friends. Now Taurus moon people, not rising, not sun. We're just looking at moon this week. This is something called Gokara from the moon in the Vedic astrology system. Now Venus is going to be traveling through Virgo from the 5th to the 30th of September, and as she does, she will be 5 houses from your Taurus moon. What does this mean? Well, I'm going to read you the Vedic Sutra for this. This position leads to the favors of elders and teachers, meeting with one's relations or getting new relations, attainment of wealth, friends and companions, the birth of children. And it does go on and say the demoralization in the army of the enemy. So these sutras are fascinating, you know, the old ancient structure of the wording. I find very interesting. So what does this then mean? Well, in the 5th house, it means to, as the sutra says, you know, you're going to be blessed by people who are teaching you. Now, some schools of astrology, I'm not talking about the Vedic system necessarily here, but some schools of astrology see the 5th house as pertaining to high school age children and therefore high school teachers as well. So if you're a high school teacher, I would suggest that you might be being of blessing to a number of your students at this time over the next month, and equally, if you are a high school teacher, you might be blessed by those in authority or eldership over you as well. So blessing for people in those fields. There's prosperous meetings with your relations. So, you know, that's really good. This is a house of good karma from past lives. So, you know, refining things with your relatives could, you know, because we often reincarnate with the people that we have been with before in previous lifetimes, you know, in sort of various relationships. So there might be some good karma through positive interactions with your relatives, you know. I don't know, maybe your mother was your sister in a past life or something like that. And in this lifetime, that good karma that you had with your sister in a past life now is coming through your mother. And so your mother might be blessing you with, I don't know, some sort of advantage, Taurus moon people, some sort of blessing, you know, maybe she, I don't know, what could your mother do? Leaves you her, I don't know, her engagement ring or something like that, and it's going to be a wonderful blessing, sort of financially or in terms of heritage or lineage for you, perhaps. Just an example there. As you can see, the Vedic analysis of the transits from the moon is different somewhat to the houses themselves and what they pertain to. And so I thought it would be good to mix it up and get a different perspective on things that can bring different, that can indicate different out of the ordinary sort of manifestations for us. So what are we seeing? Well, the 5th house is also, as well as good karma from past lifetimes, it's joy and exhilaration, it's excitement, it's happiness, it's the fire of God. And when you're joyful about something, when you're happy about something, that's what can bring you the attainment of wealth this month. Remember, in the sutra, I mentioned the attainment of wealth is seen from this position in this transit. So if you're joyful about something you do, if you love your hobby, if you're excited about, I don't know, whatever your hobby might be. I mean, my hobby and my work and my whole life is all about astrology. So if you're excited about that and you're a Taurus moon person, then you might get prosperous from a hobby. Maybe you give a reading to someone and they just love the reading so much that they like, even if it's just a hobby for you, they're like, I have to pay you for that. I can't let you not be remunerated for this brilliant knowledge you've shared with me. Attainment of wealth through something that brings you joy and exhilaration, as I said. You can also get joy and exhilaration through spending time with your friends as well. So this is the house of entertainment, maybe going out, having a good time, celebrating something, going to a concert, going to a play, going to the movies even, would be a great thing to do for Taurus moon people, to do with friends, because you'll have just such a wonderful blessing of a time. This is a house of gambling and taking risks. That doesn't mean, because the sutra says that the attainment of wealth is available with Venus's transit through the 5th house from the moon, that you will win on the roulette wheel or anything. Your natal chart is what shows you whether you have that ability or not to succeed with risk-taking ventures like that. But if you are in a position where taking a risk could pay off for you, such as if I put my name forward to take on this particular project at work, that's, I'm putting myself out there in a way I wouldn't usually do, or I'm putting my hand up to buy a property at an auction, and that's going to take a risk, but I can see that it's going to pay off. Those sorts of sort of more balanced risks, rather than sort of the fanciful risks of winning a ton of money in a lottery or something, can really pay off for you and bring ultimately the attainment of wealth when Venus is transiting through the 5th house from the moon for Taurus people. So lots of benevolence here available to our beautiful Taurus moon people. As we know, the 5th house is our children, particularly the eldest child. They can bring a lot of blessing your way this month, and there could be just the blessing of like lots of love and affection and, cuddles from your eldest child, more so than usual. That can be the case. And it's also the house of lovers and romance. So obviously, with Venus in the 5th house from the moon, you might be blessed through some lover, blessed through a romantic interaction that you have that just leaves you feeling, like tingly right down to your toes. Lots of blessing that's available with those sorts of interactions with those particular people groups. So thank you, dear Taurus friends. Taurus moon friends, remember. Okay, for our... Oh, not Gemini, we're going the other way, aren't we? For our Aries moon friends, what does this look like for Aries moon people? Well, and we're only looking at the moon sign, not the rising sign, not the sun sign, because this is Kokara from the moon, which is a Vedic astrology practice. And we're looking at Venus's transit from your moon sign. I said it spelled out in the intro if you need it, Aries people, how to find your moon sign. So do check out the intro if you want to know how to do that. But this is from the from the 5th of September to the 30th of September. Venus will be moving through Virgo, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 signs from your moon. Let me read you the Vedic sutra about this. And get ready, it's not pretty. And I'll just point out that the Vedic sutras were very black and white, often very harsh. So if they talked about something benevolent, then it was like benevolent in the extreme. If they talked about something really shitty, it was shitty in the extreme. But we know that in life, most of the time, it's a midway range between those two polaric extremes. So do keep that in mind, because this is one of the not so benevolent sutras for this transit. Okay, the native will suffer humiliation, disease, and mental torment, trouble from enemies, and reduces the native to abject slavery or degradation. As you can see, it is in the extreme. So, what does this then mean? Well, I want to point out before we go on, and I talk about what this might mean for you with Venus's transit from your Aries moon, that there's some difficulty enjoying the good things of life for the next month. It's harder to get in the zone. The moon is what we need in order to feel fulfilled. And when a planet like Venus is transiting 6 houses from the moon, then it's, our fulfillment is a bit harder to attain. It's not quite there for us. But I want you to realize, Aries moon people, that it's going to ease off for you around the 23rd of October when Venus moves into Scorpio. Things get better for you at that time. Because there'll be another transit of Venus through Libra, which won't be so flash either for you preceding that. But things will get better. Everything is cyclical. And it's not that everything in your world is going to come crashing down like this sutra might suggest either. It doesn't mean that. It means that you are going to have more difficulty feeling into the joy of life. Venus has a lot to do with our ability to enjoy pleasures and delights and luxuries, and those things just might not be available to you during this transit. It could be that you just are having to work harder than usual at the moment, or it could be that you feel like, a heavy burden is on your shoulders, but it's not going to last. As I said, it will lift when Venus moves into Scorpio. So when you know that's just a cycle, that you have more endurance for getting through it. It just might feel like life is perhaps not as harmonious as it usually would be. And maybe there's some difficulty getting along with your work colleagues, 6th house, or your subordinates or your employees are, bickering or causing trouble, and it's sort of frustrating you. So that's the kind of thing that we can be seeing happening when we have Venus transiting 6 houses from the moon. There is a karmic responsibility with the 6th house that represents the karma that we need to burn. So, keep a stiff upper lip, and move through this, knowing that you're actually in the process of burning some karma by how you deal with the problems of life right now, through the challenges. Maybe there is some sort of, like I mentioned in the sutra, humiliation. Maybe somebody starts a rumor about you. Well, how are you going to handle that? And that might be a karmic outworking, how you handle a rumor or some sort of criticism, which is a very much 6th house thing. How you handle criticism could determine how you are burning your karma. So, forewarned, forearmed, if something like that happens, stop, think twice. Okay, how can I handle this in a way that is different to how I might usually knee-jerk react to something? Maybe I, quash the rumor through some sort of kind action or, an activity that proves that the rumor is unfounded, and so you avoid humiliation that way. These sorts of things. Be forewarned, forearmed, that there could be some criticism or talk or something that causes you to feel like, oh my goodness, I'm humiliated. Know that this is your chance to burn karma through how you respond and how you react. What else? Well, I would be careful of eating too much sweet food. Venus is sweet food because this is the house of our digestion. And when you're having a 6th house transit from the moon of Venus, it can cause, as the sutra said, disease. But that will be maybe it could be food poisoning that you have one evening after eating a piece of chicken that you shouldn't have eaten or something. Or it could look like, that's a bit harsh, obviously, but it could look like maybe your tummy is just really upset. The 6th house rules digestion. Maybe your tummy is really upset and you just have to avoid hot, spicy foods for the month or something and just go steady. And I had this the transit of Venus 6th from my moon a couple of months ago, and I just had to really deal with candida, which was upsetting my tummy quite drastically, and it meant that I had to spend the month on an anti-candida diet. That was actually good for me, and it sort of got my tummy back to a place where it's much more healthy and I can eat normal food again. So that's the kind of thing that this might be bringing about. Candida, which responds to sugar, is a Venus-induced disease, I'll point out as well, because Candida is a sugar-based, you could call it a disease, I suppose, an illness. So Venus's transit, 6 houses from the moon, might highlight something like that. And as I've just alluded to with my story, everybody goes through, once in the year, a transit of Venus 6th from the moon. It happens to us all, because Venus does one transit of the horoscope every year. So everybody's going to go through it at some point. So it's not an unusual experience for us. We go through it once a year. So just forewarned, forearmed, that you might have something similar to what I had when Venus was transiting the 6th house from the moon, and maybe you've got a candida infection that needs attention. So this is also, the 6th house is the house of healing through practical means, changing your diet. for example, is a practical way to heal something that's out of balance, something that's out of whack. So it could indicate that you have to focus on something like that this month. Now, the last bit of that sutra was reduces the native to slavery and degradation. Look, that's not going to happen. Let's just put it out there. That is just not going to happen. But you might feel, and I'm putting my hand up to say I feel like this on occasion as a single mum, I feel like a slave. I feel heavily burdened by that responsibility and duty that I'm carrying. So it could be that you feel burdened. You feel like a slave to your boss, to your kids, to your business, to, a sick family member or something like that. And you feel like, oh, how much longer have I just got? That's just the energy and the feeling that you might be in during this transit of Venus from the moon. So I wanted to just point those things out, Aries. We have good times, we have bad times. Everything is cyclical. Everything comes around, as I've illustrated. I just want you to know that you can get through this and you have what it takes to survive. You are an Aries after all, god of war. You have the courage, the strength, and the vitality. And if you are an Aries moon, I can also point out to you that Jupiter is in the house of your moon, giving you what you need, enhancing that moon to help you along the path. So Jupiter is very well dignified in your sign of Aries. So everything balances out eventually. Just be forewarned, forearmed about this Pisces transit. All right. Thank you, Aries moon people. Now, Pisces rising people. Not Pisces rising, Pisces moon people. We're actually not looking at rising signs, and we're not looking at sun signs in this reading. We're looking at moon signs only. And if you don't know where your moon sits, I would suggest listening to the intro of this video where I describe how to find your moon sign. And, I offer a course in learning how to read your chart too. So Venus for Pisces people is in the 7th house from your moon, for Pisces moon people. And remember, Pisces, you're having a full moon in your sign this month too, which is going to be very powerful. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses from your moon. And here is the transit of Venus from the 5th of September to the 30th of September. Let me read you the sutra. Some disaster may occur to the native pertaining to or caused by women. There can be some difficulty enjoying the good things of life at the moment. So actually, that's not the sutra, that's my notes that I put under there that I incorporated into the sutra. So basically, the sutrist is saying there's going to be some challenge from women. Venus transiting 7 houses from the moon. What that means is Venus will be opposing your moon, Pisces moon people. And that's actually a very difficult aspect to experience. So difficulty, and caused by women, potentially young women as well. Venus rules young women. So, and as you are representative of the moon in this particular reading, it will be the Venus young women that might be causing you problems. I mean, that could look like many different scenarios, but I would say that it will pertain to 7th house things. Maybe you have to deal with a young woman at a law firm. 7th house is legal officers and lawyers. And she's just giving you the runaround. You want to understand and be able to move forward with a particular legal case, and some young woman is blocking you from talking to the lawyer, or maybe she is the lawyer and she's not helping you, that kind of thing. Or it could be like town planning, those sorts of matters, legal matters, such as town planning, contracts and permits and things like that are very much 7th house things. So you might be dealing with a young woman in a town planning office or a building surveying office, or some other sort of contractual permit-oriented industry, and a young woman is just being obstructionist. Forewarned, forearmed, Pisces, that might be on the cards because of this transit from the moon. This, fortunately, this is not going to be a transit that impacts relationships so much, unless you're in a relationship with a young woman. and if you are, then your young woman that you're with might be feeling very upset, or in a sort of a heavy state of mind, or a difficult sort of feeling unfulfilled, feeling emotionally disbalanced, could be what a young woman you are married to or in a committed relationship with might be feeling. So Be compassionate, be kind, as is your nature, Pisces moon people. I'm sure you will be. And just know that this is a cycle. Ride it out. It will end on the 30th of September. In fact, things are going to get a lot better on the 30th of September for Pisces moon people when Venus moves into the sign of Libra. Okay, that's going to really ease off this more challenging. It's not the worst of the transits of Venus from the moon, but it is challenging. It's not a benevolent one. So there might be some difficulty creating equal partnerships in your life with this transit from the moon, Pisces people. There might be some things feel out of balance perhaps with a relationship, or maybe a relationship is going through some sort of upheaval. Now doesn't mean endings, but it could mean maybe a redefining of the relationship. Venus is choice, and maybe you are being forced, Pisces moon people, to make some choices regarding relationship. Am I going to invest in working on this relationship? Am I going to choose to go elsewhere? Am I going to choose to make changes to how I'm behaving in this relationship? It's about making choices with relationship when Venus is moving through the 7th house. So for Pisces moon people, that's what's really on the cards, okay? The 7th house is also how we perceive others and how we treat others and what we attract from other people. So as the sutra mentions, there's some level of difficulty that we are attracting from others. So it doesn't matter, let's leave the whole relationship idea aside. Maybe our clients are being difficult. Maybe young women as clients are being difficult. We're attracting women, young women clients who are challenging or affrontive or aggressive with us or something like that. We might be having to deal with those sorts of circumstances, which are obviously never fun when we're in that. But you know what, Pisces, you're gentle, you're good at negotiation, and you can work through this. And as I said, it's not going to last. It's just a passing energy for the next month or so. And there will be other energies at play as well. Now, obviously, this particular transit of Venus is not the only thing happening in the skies. You're having your full moon in your house, which is going to be great. You've got the Jupiter in the 2nd house in good dignity, doing great things with your money at the moment, helping you sort out your money and maybe make some refinement to your money, a fresh start with money, and a cardinal sign there. Jupiter ruling your moon sign. So there's all sorts of other things that are interacting as well. But when I'm talking about this particular transit of Venus through the 7th house from the moon, there will be a moment in the next month when maybe you're going to have to go head to head with some young woman who's causing upheaval in your world. Okay, so heads up on that one, precious Pisces. Alrighty, thank you, Pisces moon people. Now, Aquarius rising, not rising, I keep saying that because I'm in a habit of it. Aquarius moon people. Well, let me just put my little non-walking stick available up there. Aquarius moon people, well, the energy of Venus transiting through Virgo, this is called Gokara from the moon in Vedic astrology, and this is going to be active. Venus moving through the 8th house from your moon sign in Aquarius from the 5th to the 30th of September. So all of September you are in this Venus Gokara 8th house from the moon, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 houses from the moon, if your moon sign is Aquarius, is where Venus will be transiting. Let me read you the sutra from Vedic astrology. The native gets houses, attendants, and a rich spouse for their partner. Happiness will result from members of the opposite sex, the acquisition of household utensils and ornaments in the family. Well, these sutras they're always at an extreme. Either they're an extreme blessing or an extreme disaster. So I like to encourage people to take it in the middle ground, but we can tell from this sutra that it is one of blessing, one of optimism. So this is lovely to have a transit from the moon, 8 houses from the moon, that could bring you some sort of blessing. Now, it's a house of inheritances, and as this talks about acquisition of ornaments in the family, it could be that you inherit grandma's diamond brooch or something like that, or inherit grandpa's toolkit that he had, and it was extensive because he was a carpenter and he had this beautiful toolkit, you might inherit some utensils or ornaments from the family with this transit from the moon. Happiness resulting from members of the opposite sex. Well, quite frankly, this is a house of sex, so, you might be having happy sex if you are so lucky, Aquarius friends, to be enjoying that. Your partner, as this sutra mentions, a rich spouse for their partner. Now, that is looking at the chart when we have Gokara from the moon, but this is a transit of Gokara from the moon. So it doesn't mean that you're going to go leave your current partner and go marry, a bazillionaire. It might mean that your partner actually gets a raise this month, or your partner makes money in some other way that brings more finance in for the family. Maybe they sell, like my ex-husband used to import cars from America, and he would, often he sold them at a loss, unfortunately, but sometimes he would import them and sell them at a profit. And so that's the kind of thing we're looking at. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a regular state of being, or that the partner's going to suddenly become a millionaire overnight, but there might be an increase or a rise in some financial situation with a partner as a result of this transit from the moon, which is lovely. The 8th house is also about renewal. And so, if it talked about, this sutra talked about getting houses, so you might be renewing a house in some way, like, I don't know, the thought has just come to me of taking out a new mortgage or something like that, or refinancing might be on the cards perhaps, but more so I think that you might be looking for perhaps a new home, that might happen for you. You might change houses or change rentals and move into a better place for yourself, a more spacious place, or a place that suits your needs better, potentially could be on the cards. Something more beautiful Venus, something more luxurious Venus might be on the cards, and it's in Virgo too, so perhaps something a bit more practical and more useful to you where you're at in life might be happening. But this is the house of renovation too, so you might be renovating your current home to make it more practical, to make it more useful. You might be getting, a new microwave for the kitchen and new utensils in the domestic environment that is renewing how you're using your kitchen perhaps, or it could be a new like appliance or oven or something like that you're getting, some practical item, Virgo, that's being renewed in the domestic home sphere. As I said, renovations and sort of renewing the way you're living your life in the home could be on the cards also for our beautiful Aquarius moon people. So enjoy all that wonderful happy sex and the renewing of your home life and your home environment, and any inheritances or things that you receive from family members. All right. Thank you, Aquarius moon people. Now, if you are a Capricorn moon person, we're not talking rising, we're not talking sun sign. We're using something called Gokara from the moon. And this is a Vedic astrology technique of analysis that's used extensively in Vedic astrology. And so if your moon is in Capricorn, and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 houses away, lo and behold, that's where Venus is transiting, 9 houses from your moon placement. And let me read you the sutra. Oh, I should point out, this is happening from the 5th to the 30th of September, so you're under this influence for a month. So the sutra for this placement: the native performs religious acts, gets members of the opposite sex or marries, has happiness, wealth, and clothes, the fruition of liberal and charitable actions. So that's the sutra. So we can take from that Vedic description of this transit that you'll be feeling, I was going to say pious, but that's not a very nice word. You might be feeling very devoted, like, religious acts. You'll be feeling devoted to whoever, whatever you perceive as God or divinity. And there's this is the house of connection and communication with the God. So you'll be feeling close to God during this month while Venus transits 9 houses from the moon. It talks about getting members of the opposite sex or marrying. Well, that might be on the cards for some people, of course, but not for everybody. But you might just find that there are more, like I'm a woman, there might be more men. If I was a Capricorn moon person, there might be more men in my circle of influence over the coming months. And it would be happy, benevolent interactions, joyful interactions that I might have with the opposite sex that maybe expand my mind, expand my understanding about life and philosophy and belief, perhaps, all these ninth house topics. So that's what that sutra might be pertaining to here. There's happiness, there's wealth, and there's clothes. So generally speaking, materially, you could do very well. This is in Vedic astrology, the house of blessing, the ninth house. And we're talking ninth house from the moon here. So you might be you might be sort of blessed materially with those things during the month ahead. And of course, Venus is indulgences and luxuries, but it's in Virgo. So for you guys, for Capricorn people, it might be clothes and happiness and prosperity that comes from practical things, you know. So you need a new pair of sneakers or something. So you get a wonderful new pair of sneakers and they're really cool. They're, I don't know, bright red or hot pink or something like that. And they're just fantastic, but they're practical and useful too. They're sneakers. So that's what we're talking about. Happiness and wealth, you know, coming from something practical, Virgo, but can also be a bit on the luxury side as well. So that might mean, you know, Virgo is connected to the work that we do and the service that we do. There could be some wealth that's coming from the service that you're doing. Maybe you are a barista making coffees for people in a coffee cart or a cafe or something like that, and you get a pay rise this week. You get some sort of blessing, wealth from the service, Virgo, that you do with food, Venus. That's how that combination could look for some of you. You might get a lot of happiness from your belief systems over this particular month. Ninth house from the moon is beliefs, morals, ethics, that kind of thing. And that could be bringing you a sense of fulfillment and happiness. You might be looking at the big picture of life right now and feeling a sense of fulfillment and joy in that regard too. So in that sense, you know, this is the house of the big picture view. And this is, I'm not Capricorn moon, but I have been feeling this a lot lately. You know, been sort of stepping back a little from the daily grind, the nitty gritty, and I'm actually seeing how everything that's been going on in my life, I feel is taking me to a certain outcome. And I'm like, I get such a peace when I remember that, when I think about that. There's this knowledge of the bigger picture that's sort of starting to reside within me of what's really going on in life overall. And it's so liberating, it's so freeing. So I hope that's the case for you Capricorn moon people as well, with this benevolent transit from the ninth house from the moon that can bring you happiness with regard to some sort of big picture understanding or knowledge or wisdom that might be coming your way. Some aha moment. Eureka moments, aha moments are seen from the ninth house as well. You might get a lot of happiness from just having an epiphany like that, which is obviously a wonderful thing. This is the house of the second life partner. If you are somebody on the dating scene looking for a second life partner, Capricorn moon friends, this can be a benevolent opportunity, like for that somebody might come your way. Remember, it is, and we're attracting people from the opposite sex. So if you're looking for someone from the opposite sex to have a relationship with, then this could be very much on the cards if you're after a second life partnership or a second commitment. This is a transit where there's some opportunity for that, some blessing for that. So all sounds pretty good if that's what you're in the market for, Capricorn friends. All right. Sagittarius moon friends, and we're only talking moon here, not rising, not sun with this reading this week. We're looking at something called Gokara from the moon. And Venus is currently Gokara from the moon, 10 houses from Sagittarius. If you have a Sagittarius moon, I'll show you what I mean. If your moon's in Sag, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 houses, and that is where Venus will be transiting from the 5th of September until the 30th of September for the next month. So let me read you the Vedic Sutra about this. And I just want to point out that Vedic sutras are always extreme, a bit like ancient Hellenistic dialogues about planets and so forth as well. They are always extreme. They're either extremely full of blessing or extremely rubbish. And I must just forewarn you, Sagittarius, this one's a challenging one. Okay, so I'm going to read it to you. The native suffers insults and quarrels invariably, although speaking very few words. Rivalry, quarrels, and dishonor. So as you can tell, not such a flash transit. But after the 30th of September, this is going to ease off for you guys when Venus moves into Libra and into your 11th house. And these cycles, they happen every year. You will have a Venus transit through your 10th house from the moon every year, Sagittarius. So it's just another cycle of what you are probably already used to subconsciously with the transits of Venus from the moon. So there might be some, just generally speaking, because remember these sutras are extreme, there might be just some general difficulty enjoying the good things of life at the moment, Sagittarius moon people, and usually pertaining to the 10th house. So some frustrations with work. Maybe things at work are just, like in your career, are just not coming together. Maybe you've worked on a project and then the project's cancelled and you're like, oh, all my work for nothing. How discouraging, how frustrating. Maybe, I remember when I was a town planner, we would have to present town planning reports at council meetings and then the council would overturn our decision or something and you're like, well, why did I even bother, Those sorts of frustrations and disappointments that might be on the cards regarding work situations over the next month because of Venus's transit from the moon here. There could be some feeling of discouragement with responsibilities and social obligations. That's what the 10th house represents. So, just feeling a little bit, frustrated with those sorts of things. And as I said in the sutra, it talks about insults and quarrels. So you might be having some quarrels with people over responsibilities. Well, hang on, that's your job. My job is to do this. My position description says XYZ. Yours is XYZ. I'm not doing what you're telling me to do. And so you have quarrels and so forth at work about your responsibilities and obligations can be what this looks like. And as the sutra said, you don't have to say much and somebody's just nah at you, giving you a hard time. So forewarned, forearmed about that in the workplace or where you earn your money. Or through whatever mechanisms you earn your money. I'm not quarreling. I work from home. I'm not quarreling with anyone at home because there's nobody else here right now that pertains to my work. But I might have if I was a Scorpio, a Sagittarius moon, which I'm not, but if I was a Sagittarius moon, then I might be having a few clashes with people in authority over me, maybe my internet provider or with YouTube or something like that, some sort of people who have some authority over my work and means for earning money might be proving a bit obstructionist or difficult or just, providing that challenge that the sutra mentioned. Excuse me. This is also the house of our legacy. So it's not really a month for working on what you want to leave for those who come after you. Maybe you have a desire to leave a legacy. It might be you want to write a book, or it might be, especially if you're Sagittarius moon, you're probably very keen on some sort of publishing or teaching as a legacy that you might want to leave at some point in life. But then it's not really the month for working on that because you could get discouraged by doing so, or people might malign you for, they never participate in the family because they're always sitting in their study writing their book and, they might as well not exist, and someone's bad-mouthing you because you're pursuing something that you want to leave as a legacy. So heads up on that one. You can work on it if you're willing to suffer the derision from other people. That's quite okay. Go for it. Work on your legacy. But yeah, there could be some just heaviness around working on whatever it is that you want to leave as a legacy, beautiful Sagittarian friends. So just letting my Saggy Moon friends know about that. Remember, after the 30th of September, everything's going to shift when Venus moves into Libra and into a much better sign from your moon placement. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat today. Scorpio rising. No, I keep going to say that. It is not Scorpio rising this week. We're looking at Scorpio moon only this week. And the reason we're doing that is that we're using a technique known as Gokara from the moon, which is a Vedic astrology technique of analysis for transits as well as for your natal chart. So for Scorpio moon only people, and if you don't know where your moon is and whether you have a moon in Scorpio, just check out my introduction to this video because I describe how you can find out your moon sign. Scorpio moon people, well, the transit of Venus from the 5th of September to the 30th of September is occurring in your 11th house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 houses from your moon sign only this reading is for. So let me read to you the Vedic Sutra for this particular transit. And keep in mind that Vedic Sutras are usually in an extreme. So it'll either be extremely beneficial or extremely awful, okay? And we usually can sort of take it that the experience will be somewhere in the middle, but either erring more on the side of benevolence or negativity. So for our Scorpio moon friends, Venus transit 11th house from the moon means that the native gets friends, wealth, food and perfumes and favor from relatives. Hello, nice one for our Scorpio moon friends. Benevolence with Venus transiting through the 11th house from your moon. So you're going to be very profitable and gainful over the next month because of this. Now, there are other things going on in the chart as well. Jupiter's in the 6th house from the moon, and Mars up here in Gemini, 8th house from your moon. There's plenty of other things going on. But I wanted to look at money and relationships, Venus-ruled things that are going to be influenced by this particular transit from the moon. So you might be like profitable and gainful financially from what you do to earn money. You know, your career or your side hustle or something could bring you great wealth. It might be through food that you create great wealth. Venus rules food. So you're getting practical, Virgo, with some sort of food. Maybe, I don't know, you've got to make cakes for a cake stall. Venus is sweet food, but it's a cake stall to raise money for the school fete, at the school fete or something. And you make cakes and sell them and you go really well. And you know, you achieve a lot of wealth because of that. And there's prosperity and gain there because of some contribution of a practical nature that you make. Practical contribution to the school fete through some sweet cooking. Venus. It could look like that. But this is also the house, the 11th house is the house of communal property or places where big groups gather. So it's in those places that you might meet new friends. Remember in the sutra, it talked about making new friends during the next month. So maybe, I don't know, going to some concert or a football match or something like that, and you might meet some new people who become really close friends with you. You might also attain some sort of wealth through large communal gatherings. You know, maybe you have to speak at a communal gathering of some sort and somebody's so impressed with your speech that you give that they offer you some sort of position or job that's ongoing, that's going to give you some sort of remuneration. It could look like that. Some sort of blessing that comes, some prosperity that comes from an 11th house circumstance. Venus transiting 11 houses from the moon. Networking can be very profitable and gainful for you over the next month, so don't shirk going to that meet and greet because it could be really beneficial for you in the long run to do so. Also reach out on social media and connect and socialize where you can. I'm not very good at that myself, I must admit. I'm not, like, if you follow me on Facebook, I just don't interact on Facebook because I hate Facebook. So I put my posts up, but I don't comment, I don't go on Facebook other than to schedule all my posts and things for the viewers. This would not be good for me having this transit because I just don't interact on social media because I hate it. But if you are so inclined and you like social media, then by all means do so because it could prove very prosperous for you and beneficial for you. I guess YouTube is social media, isn't it? So here I am on YouTube and I do interact on my YouTube channel. So maybe that would be how it would work for if I was a Scorpio moon. But yes, network, socialize, connect. It's going to bring you a lot of prosperity. And you might be doing so in places, social media aside, in places where there's food, like you might be socializing at a gallery launch or an exhibition launch or something, and there's nibbles and food. As I said, food is part of this sutra and Venus rules food. So that might be on the cards as well. And if you're at a place where food is being served and it's a big group gathering, like a exhibition or something, take note of what occurs, because it's going to be very important for you to connect and meet new people through that circumstance. The Transit Sutra talked about perfumes as well. So I don't know. I just have a picture of you and your friends shopping in the city, going to a perfume counter and it being a really wonderful experience, or, you have a lot of fun and just discover a new fragrance that you like or something. That could be happening for some people with Scorpio moon. The 11th house is the wealth that we make from our contribution to the world. So having Venus transit here could bring, we talked about wealth in the sutra, but it's wealth that you get from what you're contributing to the world. So for some people, it might be like a pay rise in their career, or some people might get a contract for like a book or an album, or a sculptural piece or something like that. There's whatever it is you're contributing to the world might bring you some source of remuneration. Maybe it could even be some sort of honor as well. So it might be, you might get a pay rise, but because you did such a good job on a particular project at work, you actually are given a greater project and greater responsibility and a more prestigious title at work because of something that you've done. So there's this favor that comes with this position too. So these things could be on the cards for you over the next month while Venus is in Virgo, my beautiful Scorpio friends. I'm seeing a lot of blessing coming your way. Just to conclude, this is the house of dreams, desires, ambitions, and wishes. And Venus is luxuries. Venus is pleasures. So it is likely over the next month that you might be interacting with maybe friends or relatives who can help you achieve greater pleasures, greater luxuries in life. Maybe you get favored by a relative who gifts you, I don't know, a Chanel suit or something like that. Something, some sort of, you've always wanted to own that pink Chanel suit that Claudia Schiffer wore or something, I don't know. And somebody gifts it to you, favors from relatives pertaining to luxury items. Venus in the 11th house from the moon, for example. I mean, you can tweak that to whatever your dreams and desires and ambitions are. And maybe there's blessing coming your way from a relative or a friend pertaining to some dream you might have always harbored. I hope so, for your sake, Scorpio. I hope that's the case. So finally, for our Libran moon friends, thank you for waiting until last, Libra. And it is only Libran moon people, not Libra rising, not Libra sun people. This week we are looking at something called Gokara from the moon. This is a Vedic astrology technique that's widely used in the Hindu astrology circles. And it's when we have Venus transiting 12 houses from your moon sign. So if you're a Libra moon, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 houses. And that's what we get. So this is happening while Venus moves through Virgo, which is going to be from the 5th of September through to the 30th of September. Let me read you the sutra that describes the effect of Venus's transit 12 houses from the moon. The native gets wealth and garments, but loses some of the latter, gains wealth in many means, and has the acquisition of clothes. Well, I'm a Libra moon, and I don't think my cupboard could fit any more clothes in it. Quite frankly, I've got much more than I need, but I am a bit of an addict when it comes to clothes. Maybe Venus in the 12th house is causing that addiction, because 12th house has to do with addiction. But let's have a look at this by transit. It's obviously a benevolent transit, but there might be some losses. Now, let's face it, if you go and buy a whole new wardrobe, you're going to lose a bit of money, but you gain a lot of clothing. So that's the kind of thing. It's not necessarily bad, but there will be a loss to receive some sort of gain. But the gainfulness is very prosperous, according to this sutra. So it will likely, Libra moon people, pertain to 12th house things. And it could be karmic, because remember the 12th house is karmically related. You're getting your just desserts. So because this sutra is beneficial, it's some beneficial karma that you're receiving. You've been a good girl or a good boy in your childhood or in past lives, and you're getting the blessing now through wealth, through garments mainly, which is what the sutra is all about. So this could be occurring for you over the next month. You might not know it's a karmic reward, but with this transit, it's likely to be. So, the ancestors on the other side might be pulling some strings for you to get some sort of advantage and some sort of blessing in life, because this is the house of people who are deceased and who have passed away, who are interested and invested in how we're living our lives still. So, blessing for Libra moon people by somebody pulling the strings. And I often pray to my Nana, who watches over me from the beyond, for help and guidance and assistance, and I feel her presence with me quite regularly. So I'll be doing more of that over the next month to connect with her energy and seek her guidance and support for life. I'd encourage you, if you're a Libra moon person, to do the same with ancestors of significance to you. This is a liberation house, a moksha house we call it. So moksha houses always require some sort of letting go. And so the more that you can, actually I heard a sermon on this not a sermon, a lecture on this morning. The more that you can let go of something that you're clinging to, it might be a job, it might be a relationship, it might be a house, it might be connection to a particular area. The more that you can let go of something that you're trying to hold on to and cling to, the more that the universe can bless you over the coming days in September as this transit unfolds. So there is liberation that comes through just letting go. And the more you can practice acceptance, the more that Venus transit 12th house from the moon can bless you. So, I'm just trying to give an illustration from my life. I have always been invested in someday moving home to the area where I grew up. And maybe, I need to let go of that idea so that the universe can bless me with something different, because I'm clinging to that idea, but it never seems to eventuate. It never seems to happen for me through some circumstance or unfortunate turn of events or whatever. And maybe I need to let that go. By my age, if I haven't been able to live there yet, it's probably never going to happen. So I need to let it go. And in letting go, that's when the liberation can come. And the universe can, okay, I've made space in my energy awareness and my consciousness. Okay, the universe is going to flood in, particularly with this transit, 12 houses from the moon, flood in to give me a blessing of a different kind that has probably been held off because I've been clinging to something that wasn't for me, that's not meant for me. And I've used, a place of living as an example, but it could be anything. If you're clinging to a relationship, if you're clinging to a job, that sort of thing, let it go and see what the universe does for you, particularly under this transit of liberation through a moksha house, Venus, 12 houses from the moon. It is a house of prayer, so it's a good time, Libra moon people, to be praying for release, for being able to let go of certain things. It's a good time to sort of, if you need to pray for financial support, this is a good time to do so. Petition the universe on your behalf regarding these things in the sutras, wealth, and some of you might need clothes. My cupboard might be full, but you might have a formal ball coming up and you've got to have a suit to wear to the ball. Like my son's going through at the moment, and they're like, Mom, I need a suit, and maybe, for some people that's a bit out of reach to be able to go and just buy a big expensive suit to wear to a wedding or a formal or something like that. This is just an example. So pray for the blessing of the universe. I mean, for some people that probably, in our Western society, we're kind of like, oh, that's a bit frivolous to pray about that sort of thing. But the universe, I get a bit angry when people say stuff like that, because quite honestly, the universe cares about every detail of our life. And if we can't talk about, I really like to be able to put on a nice dinner for my child's birthday or something, but the money's a bit tight at the moment. If we can't come to the universe with our everyday ordinary concerns like that, then why are we even believing in the benevolence of the divine? Because it's our everyday ordinary life on earth in the body that we seek support from the divine for. So I hope you're getting what I'm meaning here. It's not just, I pray for world peace. It's everything. So if you're having trouble getting a wedding dress for your wedding, or maybe you have to pay for a bridesmaid's dress because you've been asked to be a bridesmaid, but you just don't have the cash, pray now, and the universe, Libra moon people, can really step in with some support while Venus transits through the 12th house from the moon in Libra. What else? Some of you might be receiving some sort of visions or intuitive guidance, forebodings, signs, omens while Venus transits 12 houses from the moon pertaining to money and relationships. So Venus is money and Venus is relationships. So if you are feeling like, oh, there's something about this relationship that I'm in, I've got a gut feeling, that something's going to happen, or listen to that guidance. I'm feeling that it's going to be more benevolent than not for you, because Venus is 12 houses from the moon. That could be like, maybe you've been separated from a partner for a while, Libra moon people, and you just get a gut feeling like, I think they're going to come back. I feel like they're going to be in my life again. Listen to those instincts, that gut feeling, because there's some intuitive blessing that you'll be picking up on and tuning into if you know how to listen and trust your instincts. So that's what I'm seeing for Libra moon people, generally speaking. And that wraps up our journey around the horoscope, looking at Gokara from the moon, Venus's Gokara from the moon. So thank you for exploring this very interesting technique with me. And do leave comments below if you find that it resonates, or you find that anything that I've talked about comes true for you, because it's always good to sort of analyze the different techniques and methods in astrology and see how they pan out for us. Thank you, everybody. I'll join you with another Astro Weather Report next week.